welcome back to Max Reaction. How are you doing today? Hopefully you're doing good. I'm doing good. And we're going to react to a Philippine-American story from Next Day Better. It's an awesome channel. A lot of Filipino stories. They have a website with even more Filipino stories. So these are untold stories. So I think you should highly check it out. The links to their channel and things are down below. So go check them out. But for now, let's react together. Let's see what this is about. Let's talk about it. Let's have a conversation in the comment box down below. Let's go ahead and do this. So it's a Philippine-American story.
A Filipino-American story. Before the founding of America, even before the settlement of Jamestown, there were Filipinos in what is now known as the continental United States. Throughout history, Filipino Americans have led movements, confronted injustices, and have created world-shaking ideas. They disrupt. So why is their history largely untold? We must tell them to unsettle the pages of U.S. history.
Yes.
They reveal who we are as Americans. People from the Philippines, which was under Spain, first landed in California as part of the Spanish galleons. On future sailings, many jumped ship to form settlements in what would be known as Louisiana.
I did not know that.
It is a fact. Filipino Americans have been in the United States for centuries.
For centuries. And this is not, known. As much as I know, a lot of the Filipinos came over during World War II, ones that fought for the United States. But I did not know they were around for centuries like this, so we're already learning in this video. I love it.
In 1898, the United States entered into war against Spain and took possession of the Philippines, paying Spain $20 million. To rationalize colonization, American officials referred to this as benevolent assimilation, claiming to protect Filipinos' rights and liberties.
Not true.
But the Filipino people, who were already fighting for independence from Spain, resisted U.S. colonization.
When I said not true, I meant that the United States was there to protect them. No, they were there to control them. And the Philippines people said, no, we've been fighting the Spanish, and we don't want to fight you, America, but we will because we want to keep what's ours. We want to keep our culture. We want to keep who we are. So, yes.
This was known as the Philippine-American War. Fought with extreme violence, General Jacob H. Smith notoriously ordered his soldiers to kill every Filipino boy over 10 years old.
And that's where the Balaginga bells come in play. We've done a couple of videos on that. They killed all males over 10 years old, then took the bells of a bounty, a ransom, war treasure, whatever you want to call it, and they kept them over here in the United States for well over 100 years, and finally in 2018, they were returned to the Philippines. And it means a lot. It means a lot. If you don't know what they are, go check it out. If you want to check my reactions to it, go search the videos. They're there. But I think it's a very important part of history of the Philippines, and one that needs to be told. And it's not just Philippine history, it's also American history as well, even though we were on the dark side. Wow.
Many Americans opposed this, including Mark Twain and the African-American Buffalo Soldiers who were sent to the Philippines for battle. Somehow, America needed to justify this war. They even transported some Filipinos to the 1904 St. Louis World's Fair for display. Erased from our history, the forgotten war became the catalyst of Filipino migration to the U.S.
I did not know they were displayed at the World's Fair. I'm American and I feel ashamed of that. These people are people. They're human beings. And they're being used as a display? That's just sick.
The Philippines' colonial status, the people became a major source of cheap labor. And so, Filipinos migrated to Hawaii as early as 1906 to work in sugar plantations. By the 1920s, many Filipino laborers also came to the West Coast to become a driving force behind America's agricultural industry.
Big player.
Many of these labor migrants were met with racial hostility. White Americans accused Filipino men of stealing their jobs and women. Filipinos faced down mobs, beatings, and murder, yet they resisted this oppression. Filipino towns such as...
And that's what I'm saying. It doesn't matter what race you are. there's discrimination. Whether it be black, white, brown, Filipino, whatever. It's, this world doesn't need it. It's just sick.
Stockton's Little Manila were formed to serve as safe havens up and down the West Coast. Labor strikes demanded fair wages and working conditions.
Absolutely.
Under pressure, Congress greatly restricted the migration of Filipinos and promised independence for the Philippines. Through it all, Filipinos continued to persevere. World War II was a time of great upheaval for both the Philippines and Filipino Americans. Japan bombed American bases in the Pacific, at Pearl Harbor and in the Philippines, prompting the U.S. to enter the war. As a colony, the Philippines allied with America. President Roosevelt established the United States Armed Forces in the Far East to enlist nearly 250,000 Filipinos into the U.S. Armed Forces, a decisive move that helped win the Pacific Theater. After the war, America granted independence to the Philippines. Filipinos who joined the armed forces in the U.S. gained the right to citizenship. Filipino veterans in the Philippines were promised citizenship as well and military benefits. However, the passing of the 1946 Rescission Act broke that promise for many of those veterans.
And I just lost all respect for that president that ripped this promise from these Filipino people that fought and died in the war. Like they said in this video, 250,000. I'm pretty sure I looked up the stats and it was 50,000 Filipinos that died in the war. So, you know, that's 1/5 of the people that died that had promises. And I don't know how you could possibly rip up an agreement like that. That's just disgraceful. That's just dishonorable. That's evil. You know, out of what? Probably greed and power? What? You got to keep your promises, especially when people are laying their lives down. I'm sorry. I don't like that part of the history where I come from.
American military bases remained in the Philippines recruiting Filipinos. At one point, there were more Filipinos in the U.S. Navy than the Philippine Navy. Many of these Navy sailors came to America.
Wow.
Filipino women married to U.S. military men also migrated to the U.S. These women raised families, bought land, and created communities. They built the next generation of Filipino Americans.
Yes.
In 1965, an important legislation greatly expanded immigration quotas. By 1970, the Filipino population had ballooned. In a decade, it had more than doubled. Many of these new immigrants were women and professionals.
Equality.
In the 60s, Filipino Americans fought for equality alongside Black Power and Chicano movements. In California, Larry Itliong, Philip Veracruz, and other organizers led a strike against grape businesses. Filipinos convinced Cesar Chavez and his association to join the strike. Filipinos started the 1965 Delano Grape Strike, and together with Latinos, they had one of the most successful strikes against agribusiness in history. The younger generation were also in revolt. San Francisco State University and UC Berkeley students, including young Filipino Americans, led a strike that established ethnic studies. Many other groups organized to serve the Filipino-American community. There are now over 4 million Filipinos in the United States. FONS, the Filipino-American National Historical Society, tells the stories of the Filipino-American experience. Established in 1982 by Dorothy Ligo Cordova and Fred Cordova, FONS saw the value in documenting Filipino-American history, honoring October as Filipino-American History Month. And why wouldn't they? Filipino Americans persevere for a just and prosperous society no matter the stakes. Whether they excel in public service, head the Filipino food movement, inspire us as sports heroes and as creative artists, whether they spark innovation across industries,
look at all this,
lead movements for justice, fight for national recognition and the Congressional Gold Medal for Filipino World War II veterans, Filipino Americans disrupt, and their stories cannot fade. No matter what forces make us forget, we recover them, reveal, and speak about their stories. Because as we make history,
this is exciting.
We must also tell it to the world.
This is exciting. So there was so much, like this is a 6, almost 7-minute video. There was so much packed in this video, and to me it's like a crime that it only has 50,000 views. This should have 2 million views. Like, what's up? We need to get people to this channel, because that was amazing, Whether you're a Filipino that's still in the Philippines or you're a Filipino that's here in America, this is some deep stuff. This is all inspiring stuff. This is stuff that I'm going to teach my Filipino children. I'm going to show my Filipino children when they're old enough to understand what's going on, where they've come from, how Filipinos have migrated to, the United States, how they fought in the war for the United States, how they came over here and changed labor laws and all this stuff. It's just amazing. And it's a story that's not told very much. And I know a lot of people are like, why is this white guy so excited about it? Well, if you don't know, go watch my channel trailer, then you will know, because my family is Filipino. So at least half of us are. But I want to be Filipino at heart, and I am. But anyway, this is amazing. These are all stories that need to be told. So definitely, go check Next Day Better out. They've done an awesome job with this video, and they're making even more awesome videos that need to be discovered. They don't have many subscribers, so let's help them get subscribers. So if you got to choose who to subscribe to, go subscribe to them, and then think about my channel next. In all seriousness, you just seen how awesome the video was. Anyway, those are just some of my thoughts. I have many thoughts watching this, many thoughts going through my head, but I'm gonna save you some time and let you guys tell me what you're thinking after watching this with me down below in the comment section. For now, I'll see you next time. Peace, love, happiness. You need to spread it from you to me.